Next part. When it comes to role-based security group, a role-based security works on organization level. Now, what do you understand or what do you mean by organization level?
To create a group, right? Or to
I'll tell
create
you, the
a
first
role.
step is not, no, the first step is not to create a group. The first step will be to create a role.
Role, right? Okay.
Okay.
So that role will
Then,
have the access, right?
no,
The role will have the
Ro-
field access, or how you
no,
will show
again,
that?
no, again, don't get confused. I have not shown you the process. Okay.
Okay.
But if you're asking about the process, the first thing is the role has to be created. Then
Hmm.
you create a role-based security group.
Correct.
And then you assign the permissions to the role-based security group.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So this is the, process.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm not talking on that. What I'm trying to tell you is a role-based security group works on organization level.
Yeah.
And what is this organization level?
Different department.
Different department. Okay, that's fine. Anything else apart from departments? You use the Workday terminology. So what do we have as a department in Workday?
Supervisory organization.
Supervisory organization.
Yeah.
Okay. Organization level means different departments, and department here it's supervisory organization. Absolutely correct. What about others? I give you an example in the beginning of an accountant, right? So what is the accountant's role? What would an accountant do?
Manage financial data.
Financial transactions or data. And how will they get access to that?
Through security.
They will need a cost center data. They will need various kind of
They will
reports.
only need cost center data.
Okay.
To how, where is the finance captured? Finance details are captured in cost center. That's what we learned, that we create cost centers because our data is captured in that. Correct.
Yeah.
So if our data is captured in a cost center, then we can't do anything. We will have to give the access of the cost centers to the accountant. Then only they will be able to perform their day-to-day activity. So what is a cost center? It is a predefined organization.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So according to the roles and responsibilities, guys, you need to ensure you are only giving that access which is required. If you are giving access of supervisory organization to an accountant, then that is a wrong assignation. You cannot do it. They will be able to make the changes in the supervisory organization. Are they allowed to do it?
No.
No,
No.
right?
Yeah.
So you have to be very specific when you have to give the permissions. And as I stated, you are giving a permissions on the roles. Basically, what is that person going to do in the organization, right? So as per that, you will give the options to perform only on the organization level. So a role is enabled for organization, whether it is predefined, custom, or supervisory. It does not matter, but a role will be assigned on that.
Hmm.
Okay.
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 Does it make sense?
Yes.
You see this option, role-based security group. It works on organization level. Now, what are the organizations? I have predefined organization, region, cost center, location, company, and their hierarchy, custom organization, and supervisory organizations. Okay. So
Yes.
if I have to create a role, I will have to mention that I'm creating this role for which type of organization. Okay. That is what you have to remember. Now, someone asked me that what is the process? How do we actually go ahead and create a role or a security group, right? So the first step is, if I have to create a role-based security group, I have to go ahead and first of all create a role. Okay. We'll come to the user-based security group in some time, but let's first understand the role-based security group. See, so let's create a security group which will have the HR partner permissions, which will be there. So access to compensation, personal information, right? Now, what will happen? A role-based security group is applied on an organization level. Now, there are steps. We have to remember that.
Hmm.
The first step is when we have to create a role-based security group, we'll have to first of all create a role. Okay. Then we will create a role-based security group. The third step is assign the role to that security group, and then you assign the permissions to that security group. Clear to everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want me to configure it today, or you want me to basically explain you user-based security group also and then configure it? How do you want to go ahead?
Yeah,
We
better to
proceed
explain
complete
user
role
based.
based, I guess. We'll be clear on that.
Okay. I mean, anyways, I have to start both, right? So that's the reason I'm asking you. Because we are left with hardly 10 minutes. So if I start the configuration of role-based security group, it will not finish in 10 minutes. It will take approximately 20-25 minutes.
So better to explain about user based security group.
Yeah, let's understand the user-based security group, and then tomorrow when we meet, we will again, start with role-based only.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
So guys, we understood, right? The role-based security groups works on organization level. Now, organization level could be anything predefined, custom, or supervisory. Okay. So you have
Yeah.
to define the organization
Organization.
where my role is going to perform that activity. Okay. So if you have defined it correctly, then there will be no challenges. Absolutely everything will be smooth. If the permissions are defined wrong, there could be a lot of escalations. Imagine that someone is able to change the compensation data for other employees.
Yeah.
What will happen? Someone can lose the job,
Yes.
right? Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So these are very sensitive changes that we do. So we have to be very much sure what are we doing. Okay. Then comes the next option, which is user based security group. Now this has more powers. Okay. So user based security group works on tenant level. Now you saw that a role based security group works on organization level. You have to define that, okay, this role is only restricted to this particular organization, whether it is company, cost center, region, supervisory organization, whatever it is. But when you create a user based security group, a user based security group works on tenant level. Now what do you mean by tenant level? What does this word tenant, you know understands you? What comes in your mind when you just think of this word tenant?
Then nothing but application.
Subscription.
Tenant basically means the complete application,
Yeah.
the Workday system,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Which means you are not restricted to one organization.
Mm-hmm.
You are free to move anywhere on that tenant, like the way we are moving, right? I'm able to create supervisory organization also. I'm able to go ahead and make the changes in the permissions also. I'm able to create compensation also. All these things we are able to do, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So which means my permissions are user based permissions. It works on tenant level. Now I can go ahead and see any data which I am supposed to see, but there will be restrictions there also, that I cannot go ahead and see anybody's personal data. It will be basically masked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there are options in Workday. What do people do in their organization? They mask the data. So you would have seen that, when you look into somebody's bank account details, you may only see the last three digits. Other things are, star 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 star
Yeah.
star, right? So
Yes.
those things are also done in the organization just to make sure that the security is not violated, and it is not done directly on the Workday. You get certain extra tools which the company buys to perform those activities. So that is basically called a kind of masking. So when a user based security group is created, it works on tenant level. So anybody who is assigned with the user based security group, which means that person knows everything in Workday generally. Otherwise, you will not get a user based security group. You will only get a role based security group. Even the developers get a role based security group. the Workday consultants, they are also not given user-based security group. Why? Because you cannot go into every place. Sometimes you have seen that we are also restricted. Like I was not getting the permission to move workers when we were going into the reorganization. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah, because not everything has been given to me also. Then there are certain restrictions. So in the user-based security group also, I can restrict people only through that way by which I can assign the permission. But if a user-based security group is assigned, they are more powerful. They are way more powerful than anybody who has got a role-based security group. Yeah, I will tell you. So when I say user-based security group, it works on tenant level. Now, when I say tenant level, somebody who can make the changes inside the tenant, who can make the setup changes, who can actually go ahead and move into any
Okay.
part of the tenant, like what we are doing right now. I'm able to create compensation also. I'm able to create organizations also. I'm able to create job profiles also. But I still have
Okay.
restrictions. I cannot make changes everywhere, which means my user group, maybe my security group, which has been assigned, they also have a user-based security group, but they have not given the complete access. So the complete access is given
Okay.
only to security administrators, guys. Somebody who knows
Okay.
Workday in and out, somebody who can fix issues in case nobody is able to do it.
Okay.
So those are very
Okay.
specific people, and you will not have two to three or maybe two or three security administrators in an organization. You will not have a huge number of security administrators. Now, in a way, you can understand that when you work in an organization, right? So let's say your laptop that you have been, you that have been assigned to you from the organization, right? So what happens in that? That your system crashes. Let's say your Microsoft Office is not working anymore. What would you do?
You need to contact the admin, like
Yeah.
Yeah, IT help
IT
desk
help.
or admin help desk who is going to take care of that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
What do they do? They will come to you if you're in office. If you're not in office, they will ask, can you give me a remote access to your system, right?
correct.
And
Yeah.
what they will do, they will log in as their employee. They will log in as a system administrator, and they will go ahead and install the application, and it will start working fine. And they will say, okay, is there anything else I can help you with? You say no, they disconnect and they go away. They will not even ask you for your username and password, correct?
Yeah.
True.
So how are they controlling it? They are controlling it through their permissions, because they are the administrators who have
Admin.
access to each and every system of the company. Similarly, this user-based security group is also like that. If you are assigning somebody a user-based security group, like I'm using proxy, right? You have seen that sometimes I use a work as
Yeah.
Logan, sometimes I work as Adam, sometimes as Steve. Why?
Yes.
Because I have that permission, I can switch. The same thing is are given to you also,
Mm-hmm.
right? So these permissions are only way by which you can make the changes, and that's the reason it is given to everybody the way they want to use it. And that's the reason user-based security groups are more powerful, because it is not restricted to a particular organization, but it is on the tenant. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now is the time to actually define, how we go ahead and define both the security groups. User-based is very simple. You just have to create the user base, and then you have to make sure that it is administered by somebody. Because if you don't make it administered by somebody, that means that person is the most powerful person if in the Workday tenant. They can make any changes, and you cannot control it also. Are you getting the point?
Yeah.
So we will see how to control that, and how do we create a role based security. Okay, but for that purpose, first of all, I'll have to create a role. Now we have got 4 minutes, and uh, so I'll just explain you the steps, guys. To create a role, there is a task called maintain assignable role, and there are three mandatory things that we have to do there. So whatever role you are creating, you have to put the name of the role. Let's say I'm creating a HR executive role. Okay. So as per the role, what will a HR executive do? You have to think. Tell me, what will HR executive do?
HR executive will do all activities HR related, like from recruitment to
Recruitment too.
uh, exit. I mean, end to
Yeah,
end their
hire
activities.
to fire. You are saying,
Yeah,
right?
I
So
could.
where are these activities done? Which is that organization where it will be done? Because you have to think about the
Yeah,
organization there. So
yeah.
where is that which is the organization where you will perform these kind of activities?
HR department, right?
No, no, HR
Mm,
department is where they will be joining, but
Ah,
their day-to-day activity will be defined to some organization, right?
yes, yeah.
So which is that organization? Which is the type of organization? I'm not saying department. Which is the type? You have to tell me the type.
Is
As
it
you have company cost
supervisory?
and
Yeah, it
so,
could be IT, it could be
yeah,
any organization,
yeah,
right?
that is IT. That is the name of the department. But if you have to use the Workday terminology for the department, what will that be? Which type
Predefined
of
organization.
sorry?
Supervisory.
Supervisory organization, guys. So that is what I need to know.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you are giving a permission to HR executive, you will give the permission of supervisory organization.
Yeah, yeah.
Will
Sorry.
right? So
Yes.
they will be able to create a position in the supervisory organization. They will be able to hire somebody in a supervisory organization. They will be
Yes.
able to terminate
Yeah.
somebody, right?
Yeah.
So what does that mean? I am going to give the permission of a supervisory, not
Supervisory.
a, but all the supervisory organizations. And
Yeah.
then wherever you are going to assign that HR, they will be limited to that supervisory. It's not that they will be, moving ahead in all the supervisory organizations. No.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yes.
that is where you have to identify the type of organization which you will be assigning it. And then who can assign these roles? Because you are creating a role. So you need to have that person also, right, who will be assigning these roles. So by default, what we do is we put security group there
Yeah.
as security administrator, because any changes you're doing in the security, it has to be done by security administrator only. You cannot do it by yourself, right?
okay.
Yes.
So that is also
Yeah.
important to understand. Okay, guys, so I'll not take much of your time now. It is all about the configuration. So hopefully tomorrow we will be able to complete the configuration also. Right then. So for today, I think we can conclude it, but hopefully tomorrow we will be able to wrap up the security, which is your data security. Action security still is there. We will not be able to complete it in just one day. It will take some time. If you have understood data security, action security will take a hardly 30 minutes, not even that, maybe 15-20 minutes itself,
Okay.
because the process is same.
Okay.
Okay, so I will be taking your leave now.